annoying, he was offensive, and he was annoying, he was offensive. Please blooper मत बनाना यार.
Hello everyone, I'm Aditya
This is Mahima.
and we welcome you to another brand new episode of Bring a Smile Presents TV Time with a Smile. Today we are going to focus on a very special age and an age group which has a very strong affinity towards television and movies. We're talking about children. When we talk about children, we are actually focusing on how these TV shows that are meant for children actually have a very strong impression, and we as adults, we need to focus on how this impression needs to be only on the positive end. We've seen a lot throughout the ages. We've seen that even when we were children, we used to see even the generation right now who are going through childhood or adolescence, they also see that TV shows, they have a very negative influence or a very bad impression on them. And since the age of childhood and adolescence is very impressionable on people, they tend to just pick up on them quicker than we as adults. So without focusing our time away from the show, we'll now get back to our first topic, that is how appearance or physical appearance of people has taken a toll on the impression that goes on to the children.
Yeah, so talking about appearance, in cartoons, in TV, in movies for children, it is generally shown that you are how you look. So if a person is dark skinned, wears dark clothes, has sharp features, is wearing loud makeup, that person is perceived to be the villain of that show, and that's how they portray it. And likewise, for the for the for the protagonist, especially for the female protagonist, they're shown to be frail, fragile, very extremely pretty. They have tiny waist. They they create this image of a ideal body or ideal or an ideal look. This is how a person is supposed to look. That's how people are going to accept you more. If you look this way, you are going to be accepted. And speaking of this appearance, it is very evident in movies like Cinderella, where Cinderella is not supposed to go out, but she anyway decides to go out to the party the prince has thrown, and in the party she magically wears a very beautiful dress, has pretty shoes, is looking rich, not just very pretty, she also looks very rich. And these things like looking magical, looking royal, probably earns the attention of the prince. And without even talking to the prince just falls for her and tries to tries to find her when she leaves the party. The movies like these, shows like these, they objectify beauty, how wearing good dresses, wearing makeup is going to make you look good. And this was for female protagonists, for male protagonists as well. They'll have perfectly conditioned hair somehow. They drink protein shake for breakfast. They have this smirk that's always there. So yeah, these are the things that uh, idealize appearance or looks, and how we associate looks with the characteristics, the personality of a person. If they are good looking, they are perceived to be good people. And it's actually a research too. It reminds me, I don't know, I read it in social psychology that there is a research. If a person looks good, they are perceived to be better people.
Yeah, actually, that's very true. And the research that has been spoken of right now is supposed to have a positive impact, actually, because what they mean when they say that people who look good have a better personality, better outlook towards life, is the way they carry themselves and not based on their physical appearances. It does not mean that people who have stretch marks, blemishes, acne, they're not bad, they're bad people. It means that if a person is confident with their appearance and they hold their entire appearance and structure in a very positive way, it gives out a very positive vibe. And that is what needs to be done. And children don't understand this much of technicality. They see and they learn from it. The same goes for negativity that is shown. We've spoken about how antagonists are portrayed in a very similar manner. Everyone wears dark clothes. They have sharp, pointy features, which makes which makes children have an impression that okay, anyone who looks like this is a bad person. The same way, negativity is very minutely portrayed. There are some tiny or very minuscule details which have been used time and again to show negativity in a certain concept. Now, for one example, taken from fairy tales like Cinderella and Snow White, one thing that has been generalized and I'm sorry to say that still holds together in adulthood is step relations. A lot of people, they think that people who are step relatives of someone, they might be treating them badly. For example, Cinderella had stepmother, stepsisters, and they used to treat her badly. So people now have this concept in their head that step relations are bad, which is not true. A relative, or that is a stepmother, a stepsister, a stepfather, they are all just as compassionate. They can be as compassionate as a real blood relative. And we need to keep that stigma away from children because they tend to hold this very strongly. And as I said, even in adulthood, they show in adult TV shows that okay, step relatives are negative or antagonistic in nature, but that is not true. It's because they have been given this impression as a child that they, the showmakers or the writers, they keep this thought in their mind when they are writing as an adult. And that is why we are focusing to that grassroots level of step relations. Similarly, negativity just does not stop with step relatives. The negativity that comes is how people should dominate their subordinates, how we are supposed to treat uh, our house helps in a bad manner. These are all things that are very prominent and very excessively used in children's shows. I don't know the reason why it has created a pattern, but it needs to be stopped. And if it is still visible or it's still broadcasted, it is a parent or a caregiver's responsibility to make sure that their child is censored from this. People say that everyone has the right to watch the television that is coming out in today's time, but no, there needs to be some censorship based on our social values, our psychological well-being, and our moral responsibility. So negativity is another part. A lot of such examples like generalizing negativity on relations or generalizing negativity on classes or economic backgrounds. These are just on the top of our head, but we need to focus more on such topics, on how these things are bad. It becomes too late if we understand this in our adulthood because already our foundation or our mind has been conditioned in that way. And I mean, there is more to what we see on television than there is in real life. So that needs to be kept in mind.
Actually, it's true. Whenever there is an authority person, whenever they have to show an authority person, they show by by making that authority person look like he is dominating over his subordinates, over the people who work from him, and that's how they show it. So yes, it does create a really bad impression. Moving on, next thing that is really evident and it has been criticized widely over the years, it's sexism that is shown in cartoons, in movies, in Disney movies especially. How they show how stereotypically they show a character of a female and a character of a male. So females are usually obedient, very domestic. They are dependent on men. They are shown that they need men in their lives to either rescue them or even if not, even for example, the modern age Disney, they try to show that no, these characters are independent, they are strong-willed. Still, the ultimate goal, the destiny of these characters is to find a person who they can get married to. So basically, they're just living to get married. And ultimately, it leads to a girl finding a right boy for her. A right boy who's going to, who she can rely on, who's going to solve her problems.
A provider.
Um, yes, a provider. Apart from this, also they are shown to be helpless in movies like Frozen. Um, Even if Elsa, she had great power, she was powerful, but she was shown to be helpless, and that doesn't really happen with men with great power. Men with great power, they're just amazing, they're awesome. But female, they're with great power, they're shown that they can't handle it. They are either too emotional, they get carried away too easily. They either put their powers to bad use. They just don't know how to handle it. And yeah, female are not supposed to be trusted with important stuff. And this has been going on, even if they are trying to change their ways. This is going on, and it really lays an impact whenever a person, say, like, for example, a small girl, she sees all these, and whenever she thinks that now I am in trouble, she is going to look for a strong male in her life.
True. Actually, even though they are trying to change it, what comes organically will always be different than a deliberate attempt. So we see that there are a lot of male dominating characters, a lot of empowered women on TV nowadays, which are supposed to be for children, so that they feel empowered. But that does not look like organic. It looks like a corporate social responsibility rather than a real attempt.
Yes, actually. And
The
there was a
way
research.
Yeah, so the way they try to incorporate women empowerment in characters, even today, it looks like they're doing it so that they can justify the other extremely dominated male characters. For example, Justice League or Captain Marvel. These are superheroes, and having a female superhero is again a very empowering thing. But we're talking about female characters who are nowadays evidently empowered. The attempt on making empowered women or powerful women in the television or in movies is not that organic. When we see that, okay, we have a female superhero now, we have Wonder Woman, we have Captain Marvel, who are getting their own feature films, but at the end of the day we also realize that, okay, this is like a simple token to show that, okay, we have one female character, one
Yes.
female superhero amidst seven other male super ones. So
And
that is
relatively,
not
they
true.
have lesser dialogues.
Yeah, they have
It's
lesser dialogues.
established.
Their
Hmm.
story is not that well written. The things they try to do it as a corporate social responsibility, and we should avoid that. And now, talking about tokenism, we wanted to discuss this as well in a very detailed manner. One of the few things that nowadays is being brought into light is tokenism. How and the maximum debate that goes, or the maximum argument that we see, is on the basis of, again, Disney. We have seen throughout, even if it's animated or cartoons, or if it's in real time original series and movies, we always see that there is something that should not fit there but is deliberately put into, so that they show diversity in their writing, show diversity in their characters, and it is very evident. For example, having a uh, black person be the best friend of a white person, just to show that, okay, we have a diversity. We don't just go for white people cartoons or white people shows. We have seen this in High School Musical, we've seen in Sunny with a Chance, we have seen in a lot of different shows that tokenism is there. People, try to show diversity in their TV series, in their casting, by by incorporating people of color into this. There is a lot of tokenism that is there. So, for example, if you want to see a good representation of diversity, a very good example is The Big Bang Theory. Now, Raj, being an Indian, was not a deliberate act to forcibly put into. He was just made to be an Indian. But on the other hand, in Silicon Valley, having an Indian character was a sign of tokenism. It was put in because there is a stereotype that Indian people, and especially people from the south of India, they are computer engineers. And that is why it was incorporated there. And it is a very bad thing. So whenever we watch such shows and TVs as adults, we can at least realize that yes, this is a sign of tokenism, or it is possibly put. But on the other hand, we as children cannot make that difference. We cannot distinguish that, and that again creates a very bad impression. We think that okay, the person who is not white, I'm talking specifically about Disney shows, is a sidekick, is mostly a sidekick, and that has been, now that it is still in a changing phase, it still does not feel organic. So that is another thing that we can keep in mind, because it feels really inappropriate. So at the end of it, we see that these signs of tokenism need to be considered by caregivers and parents, to make sure that the children not find it on their vision. They don't see it out, because nowadays with online platforms, Netflix is very easily accessible. Earlier, there used to be a child lock on television that puts a hold on what you can see or what a child can see. Now that has been removed to a very large extent, and to avoid that, we need to make sure as caregivers and adults that the children don't fall into such shows and TV, because one, if they get hooked to such TV shows. Another example of very bad tokenism, and at the same time a good tokenism, is Tarak Mehta Ka Ulta Chashma. We forgot about this, but it is a very important show, because the implication of uh, people from all the different states of the country in living inside one society or one colony is just a symbol to show unity and diversity of India. But on the other hand, they use stereotypical phrases and stereotypical background music when it comes to a person of a particular region. So that is again a very bad sign of, and a very inappropriate sign of tokenism.
Yeah, speaking of inappropriate, TV is full of inappropriate behaviors. Although inappropriate behavior is something that is very subjective, like, for example, display of affection in some places is considered appropriate, but in others is not. But what this subjectivity, it comes from the perception of normalizing things. Our right and wrong are basically based on things that are normalized and things that are not. So the normalized thing, we consider that okay, this is fine. If a person is being rewarded for something that is inappropriate, children especially, they're going to think that okay, it's normal. And there are a lot of examples in a lot of shows, but in Shinchan we see it massively. And I just found out, searching for this episode, that Shinchan was banned in 2008 because of this uh, critical view that people had about it, that um, how easily he's shown to be, inappropriately talking to people, passing inappropriate remarks, touching girls. Him and his father, they are shown to have these sexual advances which are inappropriate, and children, they find that okay, it's normal. If Shinchan is doing it and is
Yeah,
not is there is no consequence, and we are seeing it, then it means that it's okay.
it's
So
okay.
they're
It's
seeing it
normalized.
and they're okay with it. Yes. And similarly, it is for Indian television, Indian movies. How movies that are appropriate for minors, they simply just show things like eve teasing, like passing comments that are not very good. And talking of passing comments, abusive comments, one show that comes up is Johnny Bravo. He was annoying, he was offensive, he had a very bad behavior towards women. He would just go to girls and start talking, and start talking about himself. And even if he used to find someone attractive, he would just outright go and pass comments on it, which is not right. If you do it here, if you do it in the real world, but it is inappropriate.
Johnny Bravo is actually a very wrong show for children, to be very honest, because yeah, it also goes back to the appearance part. Now what happens is Johnny Bravo was so narcissistic that he used to think that his appearance, his body, his muscular built up was something that every guy should desire. And children from a very
Yeah.
young age, they think that okay, people who are skinny or people who are slim, they're not strong. Strength was directly proportionate towards muscular built up, and that is wrong. So again, this show was should not be broadcasted in daylight, because they used to they used to just uh, conclude an episode by making him got beaten up so that they can give a good moral, but that does not work. You cannot show 15 to 25 minutes of a person being annoying, in sexually inappropriate, sexist, negative, or narcissistic, and then give in the last 30 seconds you can make him get beaten up and then show that okay, this is a wrong behavior, because a child who is watching something for 20 minutes will get a better, a clear, a more vivid description of from that, rather than the last 30 seconds of conclusion. So that is there to keep in consideration. And as we move on to the last segment, and we were talking about people, Johnny Bravo getting beaten up, another very important part that needs to stop or should not be normalized in children TV is physical violence. And this has a very wide myriad of a spectrum, because we talk about something as cute, adorable, and admired by decades of people is Tom and Jerry, and it still goes on with Shin Chan or any other cartoon show that is going on. People think that being able to beat up someone or hitting someone just for a joke is normal, because we've seen it in television. People don't understand that hitting someone in the head using a stick or a bat can have a very severe impact, because the cartoons don't show it that way. They don't show that okay, playing with explosives can have what, a charred face. That is not true. An explosive can be really dangerous, and this is something that needs to be done, because there is no statutory warning. Even shows like WWE, which promote violence, they give us statutory warning that okay, you should not try this at home. But the cartoons that we are seeing, or the animated shows that we are seeing, they have no such thing. Similarly, Dragon Ball Z is another show which is again based on its story, a very great show, very well written, very well animated. We should admire it for that. But the violence or the extent of violence that they do, people, there is no statutory warning to that. Children, after watching the show, they try to imitate those characters, which can be fatal.
Yes.
So we should keep this in mind, and we should always keep ourselves aware about what is wrong and right in television. And that is why when people say that we should not censor uh, TV shows to a certain age group, this is exactly why we should. And with this, today we are sending out this message that television is a very open medium. It has everyone has access to it, but again, what is being showcased, it can be a very well written story. It can show the real time situations in a very good aspect. But is it good enough for your child or not? Or is it good enough for a teenager or an adolescent to watch? That is the question, and we should always keep that in mind. That should be on our checkbox of what to watch and what not to watch. With this, it's me, Aditya,
And it's me, Mahima.
and we ask you to please subscribe us on YouTube. Please follow us on Bring a Smile for more updates. Give us your, if you like the video, hit like on YouTube and Instagram. If you did not like a certain part or the episode in general, we are open to your criticism. So please write it in our comments. We are always listening. That is what we say at Bring a Smile. We are always listening. So everyone who wants to talk, they can hit us up. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.